Welcome to 613BeerCast.
Once more?
I know, it's been a while since we recorded together.
Well, just because I went away for a little bit.
Yes, you stuck me with April.
I don't think that's much of a problem.
Or is it? But you went to Vancouver.
I did go to Vancouver.
And you went on some very, very nice beer tours. What did you do?
I went on a sort of a major beer tour on the Saturday that I was there. The interesting thing in Vancouver, it's exploded. They have like 18, 20 breweries in the city proper. One of the areas they even have is called Brewery Creek, and it literally had 8 breweries within about 6 blocks. So that was my Saturday. I started from one end of the block and walked up to the other end of the block, visited 8 breweries over the course of the day.
So is that like a challenge? Like, is that an endurance challenge where you have to start from one end and somehow make it without passing out at the other end?
I think it should be. I think I deserved a badge and a medal.
You mean there isn't a special Untapped badge you get for that?
No, that's too bad because it would have been worth it. But man, it was an interesting run. I will say there's some really good beers out there, and there's definitely some up and coming breweries that need a little bit of time to learn some things. But overall, it was a fun day. The more established breweries. So I also managed to stop by Yaletown on the first day and Steamworks on the last day, and those ones have been there since the mid '90s, and you could tell the difference in quality and experience. And that's just not to take away from some of the ones that I did find. Some of the ones are definitely on their way there, but those two really sort of showed that there's a difference between somebody who's been doing it for a while and somebody who just sort of just started. So.
Well, I'm jealous. I just stayed here and drank my normal Ottawa beers. But today we actually have a treat all the way from Toronto. Heather from Amsterdam Brewery dropped off a nice little care package to us and several other beery people in the Ottawa area. And it was a nice 4-pack of their Adventure Brew series.
I think that was very nice of her, and I want to say thanks very much to Heather for thinking of us and bringing that over this way. I think that's very cool.
So for this show, we're kind of doing a Amsterdam theme because why not? We started the show, quote unquote, on Instagram, kind of playing around with the Instagram stories. If you don't follow us already, we're 613BeerCast on Instagram. And so we're just kind of, we're old. We're figuring things out.
We're having fun with it, though.
Yeah, I learned how to do a video today. That's cool. And so we drank this 3-speed lager on there and kind of pregame the podcast, because that's what you want to do when you do a podcast. You want to make sure you're liquored up before you actually talk for longer. Well,
because it loosens up the vocal cords, sure. gets things moving. That's the theory, right?
Yeah,
right?
That's what we'll say.
There's actual science right there.
Sure,
behind?
Science. So we'll start the Adventure. I like how it's called Adventure Brew series, by the way. It makes me feel like I'm in for like a crazy time, like I'm going to go on a mountain hike or something like that. I should go get my hiking shoes and my backpack.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll go get my hiking shoes. I'll go do it. So we're starting with Iona Scotch Ale, which is brewed with, as I don't have my notes right here, but I believe it's brewed with honey.
Yeah, we made all these great notes, and then they're down on the.
We suck at the actual implementing the whole podcast plan. It's like we write things down, and then as soon as it comes time to drink, we like, I don't know. Do you know? No.
Brewed with naked oats, so it is an adventure beer.
Okay. Ooh.
Wildflower honey, maris otter, toasted malts, and a touch of smoke in the finish. The extra long boil caramelizes the wort and intensifies the flavor. Yes, I'm reading this off notes if it's not obvious. Our friends at Rosewood provided the honey, which we used for the subtle aromatics instead of the fermentables. A good Scotch ale should have a real depth of malt flavor and warmth to it. While this Scotch ale is very different than Wee Heavy, we think you will like the new direction that we have taken this beer in. So that's the notes that came with the beer, and we'll see how that fits with the actual flavors. Katie's already had a bit of hers.
Yeah, you were reading. It was boring.
Yeah, I understand.
There was beer. I got distracted.
That's fair. That's fair.
So do you normally like Scotch ales?
I've had both good and bad experiences with Scotch ales. I tend to like bigger beers, so a lot of the Scotch ales that I do like tend to be on the larger ABV sides. This one at 5.6. I don't know yet. I haven't had mine yet. I got it's a nice look.
Yeah, it does look nice.
It's definitely a very dark ale, but it's still got that sort of oaky brown look going on. Not like a really, really black dark. Really good head retention.
It's good. I think the main complaint I heard about this beer from other people is that it's not a Scotch ale, which I don't normally drink Scotch ale, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get it's a bit more of a brown sort of characteristic. I would almost call it a brown if you gave this to me blind.
I guess I don't necessarily get that smoky note.
Yeah, the honey now is coming through as I let it sit for a bit. And so it's a little bit sweeter, but yeah, that smoky note I would be looking for, and a little bit of a bigger body. The malt base seems fairly light to me for what I would expect out of a wee heavy Scotch ale, which they just said in the notes. That's not quite what they're going for. So, in fairness, I can't say they're not getting what they're not going for.
Sure. We'll go with that. On to another topic. So what do you actually know about Amsterdam Brewery? So I realized as we were preparing for this podcast that I don't know very much about the brewery myself.
Before doing research, I knew a little bit. We have visited this brewery a couple of times in Toronto. I do like it, and actually I visited the brewery before they moved, so the previous location to the one they're at now, I forget exactly where. I can picture it in my head, but it was a much smaller place. I know. Come read my mind. Watch out for some of the things that are in there. They might be a little bit offensive, but but it was a much smaller place, and they didn't really offer tours as much. So right. you were able to go in and buy some beer, but they didn't actually have even tastings at that brewery. So now I've spent more time at the brew house than the brewery, because usually when we go to the brewery it's to buy bottles and leave. But the brew house is really nice as well. But what I did know, I think the most interesting thing that I did know before we started doing the research was they bought all of the Kawartha recipes when Kawartha went out of business. Kawartha Lakes Brewery, that was based in Peterborough. And the reason why that sort of stands out to me is because I had fond memories of Kawartha Lakes Raspberry Wheat, because it was one of the first sort of adventurous beers to me that I tried, because I hadn't had a lot of beers at that point.
I still don't think I've had that beer. Like, do they still make it?
Yes, yeah. Actually, they still make it. It's still KLB Raspberry Wheat.
I have never had it.
You should try it. It's actually pretty good, if you like raspberry, that is.
So what is it for you, as I reach for another bottle to pop open, because we drink fast here? People may think this is edited down to like a significant amount, to as much as we drink in like a 30-40 minute time frame. No, we just really drink fast.
Yeah. And
so if you're ever here, you get plastered.
And we know that Katy doesn't like editing.
No, editing sucks, people. God. If only you knew. When you think of Amsterdam, what is the first beer that you think of?
Bone Shaker.
Yes, that's same here. And that is probably my first exposure to Amsterdam was Bone Shaker. And I remember that beer being like, oh, so good. Yeah,
before the real big IPA boom that happened maybe in the last 3-4 years, where you can find IPAs all over the place, it was one of the few that really challenged a palate in a good way. I still really enjoy it. At the time, like, when it first came out, though, it was my go-to IPA. There was no other IPA on the market that I felt was as good as it. Now, I mean, it's still really good, not taking anything away, but it definitely has competitors now.
Yeah, it's a different style of IPA that I think people are used to, and but yeah, if you give me that on tap, on draft, it's fresh. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So we're moving on now to Vorago Baltic Porter. I don't know who names these beers. but they're definitely challenging my mouth.
Good we started with the, we started with the harder to pronounce stuff.
Yeah, I guess so, because we'll see how I go at the end of this podcast. I get a bit slurry. Literally messy. So this is a Baltic Porter.
Nice. One of my favorite styles of beer. I really do enjoy a good Baltic Porter. I've been looking forward to this one since I saw it coming out of the 4-pack. So this one is a much shorter description. Brewed with rye, roasted in caramel malts, and it's been tweaked from a 2013 recipe. I
think basically it's just like, this is yummy, we're doing it again.
I can see that.
It pours very kind of flat, like there's not very much head on it. The head on my beer has dissipated, it's all gone. But it's somewhat thick-ish, like medium-ish.
Yeah, medium body, I would call it. Definitely on the sweet side. But yeah, I agree that the head retention goes away, but the carbonation isn't. It's still it's still effervescent. A good amount of roastiness. I would have liked a little bit more on the chocolatey notes, but that's just me. I think it's a pretty solid beer.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a really great drinking beer. Mm-hmm. What's the alcohol in this?
This one is 8.2.
Hello.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah. And so we aren't used to getting these beers in Ottawa at all. So we're used to getting what's offered in the LCBO.
Yeah, which is basically their flagships at best. Sometimes we'll see a Tempest during the season of the Tempest.
Yeah, I've never actually seen a Tempest in the LCBO.
No, you've never seen an actual... usually the Tempest comes out, but it doesn't last long because it's a pretty good beer.
Yeah, because we have the beer geeks that are in the 613BeerCast After Dark group just kind of go crazy. So if you're on Facebook, go to our Facebook group 613BeerCast After Dark. We had there was a swarm of people who were after that Founders
KBS.
Yes, and we were sharing inventory details, what's where, and figuring out strategies to get everything. It was kind of, I've never seen so many people who weren't involved in the logistics industry interested in inventory and stock. If LCBO ever needed people to help them stock shelves of a certain beer, we'd be there for them. Just give us some KBS.
That's right. Yeah.
It was
or we would help them unstock the shelves, I guess. Either way.
Into our pockets. Yeah. Yeah. Just tell us. Don't even bother putting it in the store. Just give us the flats and we're set to go. But that was a bit intense.
Yeah. It is a worthwhile beer. If you've never had this before, we've been lucky enough to have it a couple of times in New Hampshire, and usually aged ones. And yeah, they're fantastic. Fantastic beers.
See, but going back to Amsterdam's Tempest, I thought it was only available on don't they have a special day for it?
They have a double Tempest day.
Oh, okay.
And that is one that I definitely wish would somehow make it out of the brewery a bit more than it does. I know they sell out there, and I know it's a very, very popular. We waited in line for 25 minutes the last time we were there.
That sounds so weak compared to some of the American breweries.
Well, we got there early.
Okay.
The line was much longer when we left than it was when we got there. And we brought it home. We were cellaring a couple of it, but we had to try it to see if it was worth it. Yeah, 100%. And more than that, I probably would have waited for longer for that beer. That is one of the better beers I've ever had, period. And I do think that we don't know what Amsterdam can do as well here in Ottawa as you would if you've been there and you visited and you've had some of their not so standard flagships that you can get down there. It's definitely a much more interesting things, and not that they're we could talk about Bone Shaker's great. There's a couple of other really good ones.
Your best-selling beers aren't that great. No,
yeah. but when they get the room to play around, they do some good stuff.
So I guess how they got to doing these adventure brews, I'm guessing, I don't know very much about them. I'll admit, I don't know, as I admitted earlier, I don't know very much about Amsterdam. I went to the brew pub once. It was way too busy. It was packed. And I just didn't go in.
Right.
And so I'm guessing what is going on with these adventure brews is that these because they have extra take space now, or maybe they have room to play a little bit with the brew pub and the brewery now. They're just having a bit more fun. And so now they're not just brewing the the flagships that sell. So now they're having fun kind of making new recipes.
Well, I mean, the name of the series sort of implies that. The idea of a adventure brew, I would imagine, comes from the idea that they're having an adventure with their brewing process, giving them a chance to try out a little bit. Now, we reached out to Heather as well and asked some of those questions, and we got a few answers. So, I mean, we know a little bit now about what they're trying to do with this series, and really, it's sort of, that's kind of where they're coming from. They've got a brand new tanks coming in. They said, what was it here? They had 10 new fermenters, 2 new bright tanks coming in, extra capacity so they can keep brewing their flagships and their regulars, which gives them the ability to start playing around with these beers. And so they've been brewing this. I think they say here that the first one was the Reserve Saison, a special barrel blend, and that'll be released soon, if not already.
Maybe already, yeah.
And then this pack that they did, and then doing more as they go. So now the thing is again, with these smaller batches, they are only going to be available at retail or at select bars. Now, we do know here in the 613 area that Brothers Beer Bistro is one of the ones that gets these on tap regularly. So while we may not be able to get them in bottles, we do have a place where we can go and get them on tap. So, I'll take what I can get.
For sure.
That Amsterdam tap takeover, I missed it.
I missed it too, which I think that was why we may have got these bottles, is because I was like, oh, I'm missing the good stuff. And I whined and complained enough.
Squeaky wheel and all.
Yeah.
No, I if that's what worked, and I still appreciate these bottles coming our way. But I am a little sad that I missed out on that tap takeover. It looked like it was a good thing.
There looked like to be some amazing stuff there, and I think it's fun that it's such a great way to experience a brewery when you get to just kind of try small samples of many different beers. It's not overwhelming. It's just, you do it at your own pace, and you get to really discover what you enjoy. And
Brothers does a pretty good job at organizing their flights. Like, you can go in and you can get themed flights, and they organize it in a smart way. I really do like what Brothers has been doing with their tap takeovers, and I'm really glad to see somebody has sort of stepped up in the Ottawa area and is doing some fun and approachable tap takeovers. Like, I don't have to drop a bunch of money just to get in the door. I can
exactly, yeah. You can just have a fun, relaxed afternoon and kind of socialize with all the beer geeks.
Exactly.
Untapped, like, oh, you're on Untapped too? Let's be friends. So now we're going to move on to Demon Host, which is a black rye IPA. I would like to say, if you watch YouTube, go check out the Hops and Bros, because they did a review of this beer, and I thought it was so cute, because Chris of Hops and Bros, he has like kind of a little bit of a French accent. So for half of the program, I didn't know what beer he was talking about, because it sounded like, he was like, Demon Ost. We're having Demon Ost. And I was like, it's an Ost house? What is this? Demon Ost. It was so cute. I love their YouTube channel. It's so cute. But this is kind of right up my alley. This I love IPAs. I love rye. This beer, I think, was, if I read my little notes, it was brewed with some, I think, fresh hops from the Yakima Valley. And so it's going to probably have a different hop profile than, like, say, a normal IPA. Maybe a bit more...
And this one looks like, it does feature a little more local flavors. Heritage rye,
yes,
they say. Late harvest schnook from the Yakima Valley.
I'm smelling it, and it smells nice.
I love how it pours. It's very dark.
Yes.
A lot of head retention that you would expect out of an IPA. But it's black, nighttime dark.
Yeah.
You can't,
And you can smell those hops and the rye a little bit on the top there.
Oh. Yeah, that's...
Well, we're not hop heads at all, are we? We're terrible.
I'm just going to sit here and smell the beer. I hope the listeners appreciate the sniffing sounds, because that's all you're going to hear for the next 5 minutes.
I hope you appreciate that. I left in the smacking sounds in the previous episode.
That was amusing.
It pained me so. Anyway.
We say as we both take a drink simultaneously, and there goes dead air.
We will be
great on radio.
I know. that'll be edited. You won't notice that there's a gap. I edit those gaps, by the way. This isn't as bitter as I thought it would be, actually.
No, whatever they've done, obviously with the malts, they left a lot of sweetness in there without being cloyingly sweet.
Yes.
That really helps balance out that hoppy bitterness. And that's actually might be the best way to describe this beer, or the key word of this beer is balance. This is a really easy drinking beer.
So what's the percentage of this beer?
This one is 6.2.
Oh, it does not taste 6.2.
No.
I like how when you become, we'll call it an experienced drinker, you can be like, oh, that's not 6.2. I know 6.2.
I know how 6.2 tastes. No, this tastes like 5.5.
Yes. Oh, that's terrible. Terrible.
This is definitely a very tasty beer for hop heads. And for stout. I mean, this is the classic black IPA. It's got that perfect roastiness. It's got that perfect hoppiness, bitterness. This is what I look for in a black IPA.
So, what was your first black IPA that you ever had?
The first black IPA I ever had,
or I think Cascadian Dark Ale, or whatever you want to call it.
It was actually probably Netherworld, the Cascadian Dark.
Same here. Yeah. Yes.
From Flying Monkeys. That was probably the first one I had. And then Wuchok Black.
Okay.
And I mean, Netherworld's good, but I think Wuchok Black set my standard.
It's been a while since I've had Netherworld. I have a weird relationship with Flying Monkeys and their packaging. There was a beer I saw at the LCBO today because I was doing my rounds. And I think it was like maybe called Super Collider or something like that. Yeah, Super Collider, yeah. It was like 1,000,000% alcohol, like 1 million IBUs. And I saw the font on the can. This is how awful I am, okay? I saw the font on the can. I'm like, nope. Can't do it. Nope. Not buying that one. Can't do it. Nope. I know you're targeting me with that IBU and that alcohol percentage, but nope.
No, you just can't get past the graphic design.
Exactly. I was like, can't do it. Nope, not buying. But then I saw another can. I've never seen a can like this before. And I think it was called Hops de la Vista. I forget what it was called, but I took a photo of it. I'll look at it later, but it was if you follow me on Instagram Live, it was there. My username on Instagram is KaleWatts1. But
because you're the number one Kale Watts?
No, because I forgot my other account is Kale Watts. I forgot the goddamn password. And Instagram has no user support.
Oh, no.
So then it became KaleWatts1. Anyway, I took a photo. And this can, my God. They spent some money. You always know, like, when I think of a brewer, I think of, like, the cans, like the silver bullet cans with, like, the Post-it note on it.
Right.
You know, or, like, the bottle with, like, a Sharpie marker on it saying, with an L.
Yeah. This is the lager. L.
Yes, H. Hefeweizen.
Yeah.
And this can, it was shiny. Like, the label itself was shiny. It was, like it had lifted font, right?
Wow.
Yes, like it had texture. The can itself had texture. Like if you have ever had because I am a connoisseur of fine beverages like Monster. If you've ever been a white Monster or orange Monster, blue Monster, red Monster, orange
Cookie Monster.
Not Cookie Monster. They have the embossed, the fancy cans with the raised text. And, I am getting, not only am I getting my delicious, delicious energy in a low-calorie format, but I am getting a fashion accessory because it's a fancy can.
Yes.
So this is what this can reminded me of. Everybody's going to go to the LCBO to get this can.
Yeah.
It was the fanciest beer can I've ever seen.
Did you buy it?
No. Out of principle. Because of the breweries that have suffered with the shitty cans and the silver bullet cans and the bottles of the Sharpies. I'm like, you have too much money. You don't deserve my money.
So you mean all of that marketing money to get your attention didn't pay off?
I'm a complicated person. I have strange thoughts that run through my mind. I sat there in the LCBO at College Square having a debate. And I know I look weird to the employees.
They're probably used to it by now.
I know. Topic. Anyway, Amsterdam beers are pretty good. natty tonight, people.
Yeah, no, these are pretty tasty beers. So far with three out of 4. And
so you know what we don't have though? We actually don't know how much these things cost because we got them for free.
That's true.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't even know. Well, I don't even know you could buy them in this 4-pack format, or if this was a special format for us.
So here's a challenge for April, who is sitting on the lovely IKEA couch in my apartment. Can you find out how much these cost?
If they're for sale, and if they're for sale and they fit in this fancy 4-pack, that would be really cool.
If we can, you have one beer to find this out. Anyway.
Amsterdam's been around for a while, though. In 1986, one of the older ones in Ontario.
Which is amazing, I find. Like, there's only a few breweries who have that.
And Great Lakes Brewery is also in that range, and I believe Great Lakes is a couple of months on Amsterdam for the oldest craft brewery in Ontario.
And I believe Amsterdam actually celebrated the anniversary last year.
I think they both did the 30th, right?
Yes.
Or is that this year?
No, Amsterdam
must
did
have
it
been last
year. And I think
86 to 16 would be 30.
Yeah, we can do math.
Sometimes.
With our phone calculator.
That's right. And to all the teachers who said I would never have a calculator with me at all times. Cell phones.
We proved you wrong.
So yeah, so they've been around for a bit. I think it shows in their ability to craft well balanced beers and sort of well put together. As you said, even if they're not hitting the style, they are still very tasty and very drinkable.
But do you think that, and maybe I'm skewed because I'm such a loyal Ottawa fan of local beers. I know Toronto knows Amsterdam very, very well because of their events, because of the brew pub, because that's their location. Do you think the rest of Ontario knows Amsterdam?
I think tangentially.
Wait. That is a big word.
Yes, it is. I do have big words, and I'm not afraid to use them. I think tangentially because they do have a very broad presence with their flagships. You can find Bone Shaker in a lot of places. Trying to think of some of the other ones. They're 416 blondes.
They're 3-speed.
They're 3-speed, as we had earlier. These are beers that are in a lot of places, in a lot of LCBOs, and in a lot of beer stores. There's a few there that they carry in beer stores. And because they've been around for a while, I think people might have this idea of that's what they do. What I think that outside of Toronto that we miss is this adventure brews, Double Tempest, even the Single Tempest. It doesn't make it everywhere, and I think that might be from the fact that they started, because even Great Lakes sort of has that idea that they're more well known for their more standard, in double quotes, beers, and not so much for their more far-reaching beers. And I think we miss that because we're not in Toronto, and because they make small batches, and Toronto's a big city,
and it doesn't reach here.
Doesn't get here.
I think we have an update from the April.
Oh, update $6.95 for most of these. Yes, $6.95 for all 4 of them. You can get them at the brewery, and doesn't look like you can get them in the 4-pack, so that might have been a special.
4-pack was a brew box.
Oh,
there's a brew. That's correct. We also found out that when we talked to Heather about the Ottawa presence, actually, sort of to bring it back onto that topic, that they are trying to get a better exposure of this stuff, and so they've joined the Brew Box, the Beer of the Month Club Brew Box, and that's where you could have got these ones through the Brew Box, and they are now sending their kegs out to more far-reaching places, and they're special, as we mentioned, Brothers and probably, I'm sure there are other bars like that in other cities around you. If you are not a 613 local and you're listening to this podcast, you might be able to still find them locally at a fancy beer bar near you.
All right. And so now we're going to end with Nautilus foreign extra stout, and this is a collaboration with Bar Hop.
Nice. I like that Bar Hop has gotten involved in a fair amount of the collaborations recently. I know that, I don't know if it's actually done or where it stands in terms of process. But they had an idea that they were going to open or start brewing out of their larger location in Toronto.
So I've never been to Bar Hop before.
I've been to the big location. Fantastic food.
At least I don't think I've been to Bar Hop. I might have been, I don't remember. But it sounds weird to me that a bar can collaborate on a beer.
Not that weird.
No?
I don't think. I mean, we've had a couple here that have happened. I'm trying to. I know at least one. I can remember. And I'm trying to remember who it was. Any help?
Sorry. Collaboration
with a bar here in Ottawa. Somebody's done that. Gastropub does it all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Not all the time. They did it when it was. Didn't they do the Gastropub did it when it was Stockpot?
Yeah. Fair enough. So when they have. So in the background, you can't hear this, but I know they've done it with Bose before Stockpot split off to do Stalwart.
Okay, yes.
But I think they have done one since.
But was that in collaboration, or did Bose just do that in commemoration?
Well, the Space Dragon was a collab originally.
But that was with Stockpot.
That's right. Oh, I see what you're saying. The current one. Oh, the more recent one.
I think that's in commemoration.
Might be.
Two different C words.
That's true. But this is kind of where I was getting to. So if you have somebody who's interested in the brewing process, either a home brewer or wants to open a brewery, it makes sense to collab with them. And Bar Hop definitely has that. They have this idea that they want to have a brew pub, and they have brewers on staff that want to brew beer. Beer selection there is fantastic. Food is fantastic. Obviously, if you're listening to us from Toronto, you know this already. But if you're listening to us from somewhere outside of Toronto, you've never been, and you're going to Toronto, you gotta go.
So you're saying that we have to go to Toronto?
I'm saying we have to go to Toronto.
When do you think we should go to Toronto? Maybe in May sometime?
May is a nice month. It's starting to warm up. It's starting to be walkable weather, and Toronto is a very nice walkable city. There
are a lot of breweries in Toronto that we could visit, eh?
There are very many.
So if you can't understand what we're alluding to, we're going to Toronto.
What?
So we're going to go on a little 613BeerCast road trip. The beginning of May, the 5th to the 7th, and we're going to hit up as many breweries, bars, whatever, as we possibly can. And we're going to drink, podcast, and
Instagram
and tweet and whatever that we do, and it's gonna be super fun.
I'm gonna enjoy it. I love Toronto. I love the places there. I've been a few times, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun being able to go with friends and really hang out and do our beer thing.
Yeah, we'll do our beer thing for sure. It'll get messy. To bring it back to this foreign extra stout, what do you think?
It is a foreign extra stout, and
so
in a
what
good way.
is a foreign extra stout to you?
So from what I know, I haven't done deep research into the style.
I don't throw out the style guidelines. What do you consider a foreign extra stout?
I consider a foreign extra stout to be a stronger, but not Russian stout. So it's sort of in between your regular sort of Irish dry stout and your ultra sweet, massive Russian imperial stout. So it's still a fairly dry beer, but it has that bit of an extra body and a bit of an extra kick. And because it has that extra kick, it can add a little bit more roastiness. So it's just a little bit more of all of the stuff you like about a stout, without going like way over into the dessert range.
Right. No, and this one is quite nice. It's fairly low in alcohol. It's fairly low in alcohol. It's 6.5%, so I would have liked maybe a 0.5% more, I guess.
Then you're approaching the Riz territory.
Riz. Oh God, I can't believe you used the Riz. You're killing me here.
I grew up on TLAs. I've learned how to pronounce them.
I guess to me it's very hard to distinguish the different styles of stouts. And so to me, I guess the classic 4NX is Guinness.
Yes.
And so that's my...
But the foreign X of Guinness version, not the
nitro can.
Yeah.
The actual bottled foreign X.
Yeah. And you could, I mean, if I put a can of Guinness in front of you right now, you would be able to tell the difference between these two for sure, right?
Yeah.
So, and yet, if I threw like a Bolshevik bastard next to this, you would also be able to tell the difference, right? That's why I like it's definitely in between. It's a weird one. You don't see very many of them anymore, and I can understand why, because it's an in between beer. It's like, well, I'm not sure. You know, I want a stout. I don't.
Yeah, the only other beer I know that does like foreign X is like the Iron Lion from Stone, which is like an amped up like killer foreign X because they aged it in rum barrels, I believe.
Yeah, rum barrel, which was a really tasty beer, but definitely because of the aging of the rum barrels, it's killer.
But it's a hard style. It would be interesting. I think the issue that we're having is a lot of these beers are defined by styles.
Yes.
And maybe they shouldn't be.
Well, we talked about that a little bit on the last podcast that was not recorded last but played last.
Yes.
About how I feel about the BJCPs and style guidelines. I agree that they have a place. I agree that it's helpful to describe a beer by a style because then you're setting a baseline, but it shouldn't necessarily be a negative to a beer when it falls outside of those style guidelines if it is still a quality beer. Now, part of what the style guidelines are there for is to sort of help control the quality and define the quality, but you can color outside the lines and still look good.
But it also helps guide consumers as well to figure out what, if I'm looking for a pale ale, I'm looking for this. If I'm looking for Weiss beer, I'm looking for this. If I'm looking for, different qualities.
Yeah, and that's where it gets tough because if you describe your beer as a style and color way outside the line, you can be very disappointed, Alexander Keiths.
And I feel this is hard, but I don't know. These are all excellent beers. I would buy them again. Yes. Probably my favorite would be the Rye IPA.
I'm on that page, but we are hopheads.
Yeah, we're kind of nuts.
My guess actually right now, and I know April's sitting in the background, hasn't had a chance to try any of these right now, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this foreign extra stout is going to beat out the Baltic Porter by a hair.
I see. We'll Instagram story that.
Yeah. Follow us up. Watch us. While
you won't be able to see that, but you should follow us anyway to see future things that we'll have in the podcast. Yeah, just do it.
Yeah, just follow Instagram and you'll get to have the sneak peeks at the post podcast spoilers.
And I guess with that, we'll say again thank you to Heather for giving us these beers.
Yes, thank you very much.
So join the conversation on our Facebook group 613BeerCast After Dark, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 613BeerCast.
And we'll talk to you next week.